All right. Good morning. Sorry,
Quick there.
I let the black tail on that taco intro run just a little too long. So it's Taco Tuesday, and normally on Taco Tuesday, what we want to talk about is taco stuff. You know, south of the border security, the border wall, tacos generally. But well, I think Cameron figured this one out.
Yeah, it's Tuesday, and you can put whatever you want on a taco, so we can taco about whatever we want.
Oh,
Oh, that,
yeah, yeah. I don't know if that landed. We each have four kids. I mean, the dad jokes. We're dads. It's a thing. Let's talk about some Ukraine shizzle. So I pulled up this article from the New York Times about the second whistleblower. We're tracking. Most of you guys probably at least heard it mentioned that there's been a second whistleblower with urgent and credible. Oh Jesus Christ, credible. How? How? I don't know who this whistleblower is. What's his name? What's he do? What makes him credible? You said Christine Blasey Ford was a credible witness, and
well,
there's no
indelible in the
doubt.
hippocampus.
There's no doubt in anyone's reasonable mind now that she was an not just a liar, but she perjured herself to sell some books, raise some uh uh what you call it, not Kickstarter, GoFundMe money, and politically assassinate a SCOTUS appointee. She was a credible witness. She was credibly accusing. Son, if you don't give me a name and a resume and some evidence and you use the word credible, I know one thing for certain off the cuff. You're a damn liar. Now, here's what really grabbed me about this article, this headline. Second whistleblower may emerge. Time says impeachment update. So they're reporting on it as if the impeachment itself is a foregone conclusion, and in some respects it is, because we know all you have to have is a memory. Donald Trump had not even won the election when they first started talking about what to do to impeach him. He had, and even before he was inaugurated, there were conversations going on in the mainstream media and amid the Democrats whose asses he handed to them. Um, you know, I mean, they were trying to figure out how to impeach him before he was even inaugurated, and well, in all fairness, he did just kind of shut that shit down. The Mueller investigation gave us basically the guarantee that there was no Russian collusion. It didn't occur.
Yes. Well, this is indicative of a trick we have seen pulled in the media for some time. And it's funny that you mentioned Kavanaugh because Kavanaugh is one of the few times where this trick did not work. But
Right.
we'll recall Herman Cain's presidential election. Herman was actually gaining steam. He was rising to the top of the heap. And then the first allegation of sexual abuse came out. And then the second allegation of sexual abuse came out. And then the third. And they kept piling all this stuff onto him because they knew they could eventually make him toxic, even if none of these things were true. And it was a similar situation with Brett Kavanaugh. Well, you've got the first accusation, the second accusation, the third accusation, and each one becoming more bizarre than the last. I mean, we go from drunk frat boy dances around in his underwear to Brett Kavanaugh actually ran like bizarre rape gang trains on people. And and so what's happening here is another version of that same story. They're just going to keep piling more and more and more stuff on here in the hope that they'll eventually collapse the Donald under his own weight. And that's one of the brilliant things about Donald Trump. He seems to be immune to this technique for some reason. And I hope that it's not that he is immune to it. I hope that it is that these things will no longer work. Now the public will look at such things with such a jaundiced eye. They'll go, "Oh, really? You're figuratively 10 minutes away from getting the biggest promotion of your life, and then all of a sudden multiple rape accusations come out of the closet. Gee, that's awfully suspicious timing, don't you think?" That's what I'm hoping happens here. But in any event, Donald Trump's immune to it. A, he's already released the transcript of this phone call, and yes, there were parts of it that were redacted or summarized. This is true. Um, but
No,
man, there are if you read the transcript, there are ellipses and so forth, and I thought that meant that there were things that were left out.
not necessarily. Well, anyway, but we have the transcript, and the transcript is pretty clearly absent of wrongdoing.
Yeah, there's no blackmail in it, which is what it amounts to, which is what Joe Biden did. You fire that prosecutor, or I'm gonna get corn pop to wait. No, not corn pop. I'm just gonna keep your $1 billion.
Yeah, I'll have Barry O hold your money.
Yeah, and apparently Barack Obama knew about this. That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so it turns out that on the same board of the same apparently corrupt, or corrupted or corrupting energy company sits Biden's boy, and if I've got this correct, it's Biden's boy,
Wait, Joe Biden's boy?
Pelosi. Yeah,
Joe. I'm sorry. What? I'm with you. Joe Biden's boy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Coke Hunter Biden. Um,
Dude, he had a car full of it. Apparently, he was done hunting. He had found it.
but apparently the on the board of this company sits Joe Biden's kid. Let's see. I think I've got the notes. Um, Joe Biden's kid. I want to say Pelosi's kid. Uh, there's one that I can remember for sure that I wanted to mention last, but
It's okay. It works in threes.
it does. Joe Biden's kid, Pelosi's kid, Romney's kid, and somebody else. There are two or three more important important characters there. And that just, yeah.
And look, there's a couple of things here.
I'll pull a chunky Uyghur on this. I'll Google it.
No, his whole thing is you Google it. He's not gonna
Oh,
Google it
that's
for
right.
you.
Because he's chunky Uyghur. He can't be bothered to do research and access credible sources.
Yeah, exactly. Old chunk. Sloth, no chunk. Anyway, on the surface of it, I don't actually have a problem with America using its financial power to affect change in the world. It is our most powerful non military tool that we have. And we've talked before about how basically every foreign country in the world um, gets aid from us to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars a year per country. Uh, no, maybe that should come with some preconditions. Oh, you got people marching in your streets shouting things like "Death to America." You don't get any foreign aid this year. I mean,
Yeah, see, I'm pretty good with that.
yeah, and look, I understand. that blackmail is a crime, and I understand, why there is a serious conflict of interest if you're Joe Biden, at least. But I understand how there could be serious conflict of interest. But something that we talked about on the show before is that the president, the administration, pretty much the West Wing, like their job is to go out and make relationships with other people in the world. Despite the fact that we've talked about a lot about how what Barry O did with the hunt, tell Vlad that I'll have a whole lot more flexibility with this whole nuclear missile thing after the election. While I think that was done in bad faith and shame on Barack Obama for it and all that, I don't actually know that I'm willing to go so far as to say that that what he did was the worst possible thing he could have done, because he was the duly elected president, and it is his job to say what needs to be said to other foreign leaders to move the ball down the field. And don't misunderstand, I'm not saying that makes it okay. I'm just pointing out that this is what we elect these people to do. Oh, how dare Trump go talk to Kim Jong-un? Well, who else is going to go talk to Kim Jong-un? I mean, are we just going to let him stay over there and keep testing nuclear weapons? Because I feel like that's not good.
Well, okay, so and another important thing to consider when you're talking about the idea that Donald Trump is trying... Because, okay, so here's the basic accusation, that he's trying to leverage the Ukraine to take action to hurt his political opponent, Joe Biden. Well, there's something to be considered here. Trump has clearly read and is actively applying the art of war. So part of this math has to include the question, is Joe Biden a credible, significant opposition threat to Donald Trump? And he's not. He just isn't. Biden lost his shot at the nomination over several other bugaboos before the whole whistleblower thing happened. So the idea that Donald Trump views Biden as a sufficient threat to risk a scandal involved in attempting to blackmail a foreign power, which, I mean, like you were saying a second ago, I'm totally comfortable with leveraging our finances to leverage foreign powers. Even the closest ally is not yourself. We have alliances and allegiances with other countries. This is true. But even your closest ally is not yourself. And dealing with foreign powers has to include all available tactical options, which economic pressure is one.
Yeah, and then the reverse is also true. Economic incentives. Like, I really hope the UK goes through a hard Brexit, and like on October 31st, and then Donny Two Scoops is in England on November 1st, going, "Hey guys, turns out you might need to make some trade deals. What can we work out?" I think that would just be amazing. But you make a really interesting point, and I think this is one of the things that personally bothers Donald Trump about this. It would if I were him. Biden is just not the strongest threat, and at this point, if Bernie Sanders had not had his heart attack, I would actually say that Biden has moved down to, I mean, just about anybody would be more difficult to beat than Joe Biden. The fact that he just can't keep up anymore is becoming way too apparent. I mean, when you're at the point where you're playing with your dentures on stage, you're having aneurysms.
Yeah. And now, to be clear, it's still possible. Like, I think it's highly improbable that Joe Biden will be the nominee. I think I made that pretty clear already. It is still possible that Biden becomes the nominee. The world in which The world in which Biden becomes the nominee is one in which all of the other candidates are destroyed by some kind of controversy. Now, there is this whole... Warren's in trouble right now because after her years and years and years of pretending to be an Indian so that she could steal specialized minority reserved positions, which is a whole nother conversation. She has been busted now lying about having been fired from a job for being pregnant. And when we say busted, we mean she made the claim that she was fired because she was pregnant. And then it turns out, oh, wait, we've got this interview from 10 years ago where you told the story about how you were a teacher and you got pregnant, but you were there on an emergency certificate and you had to go finish your degree, and you went to start to try to finish your degree and decided it wasn't for you. So, I'm sorry, I forgot to put the do not disturb on. But basically, she contradicts herself. And we caught her in a lie. She lied about being fired for being pregnant. So
She's bullshitting.
Yeah.
Liar Watha. And
so Pocahontas is a liar.
You're still binging.
Jesus Christ. Okay, the freaking phone just updated and they changed where they put the do not disturb button. I don't even know how to turn the
I'm pretty sure the power button's still in the same place there, buddy.
Yeah, but it takes time. And we're almost done here.
So
Pocahontas is done. Pocahontas is at risk. She is the presumptive nominee at present, but she is at risk because she's been busted in this new lie. And because we have the whole thing with her pretending to be an Indian so that she could steal jobs from Indians, and now she's been busted on lying about sexual discrimination, what we have now is a pattern. She is somebody who tells lies to advance herself. She is a woman of incredible privilege who pretends to be a victim so that she can steal money from legitimate victims. And may I say, anyone who shares a victim badge with anyone who has been lied on about Elizabeth Warren is done a massive disservice by Elizabeth Warren within the definitions of the crazy, insane enemy identitarian left. Now, Bernie's done. Bernie's done and done. It is no longer speculation. We know Bernie's doctors have confirmed he had a heart attack. Now, apparently he's doing fine now, but he's canceled a bunch of campaign events. Bernie's done.
Yeah, Bernie's done. But where I was going with that was...
So even if...
Go ahead.
I can go down this route with everybody else too. There's a good chance. There is not a good chance, but there is a possibility that Biden ends up being the one with the least bizarre controversy to knock him out and actually is the nominee. If Joe Biden is the nominee, please offer me some evidence that Donald Trump could possibly be concerned about meeting that plagiarizing, doddering old denture dropping eye bleeder on the stage. Donald Trump would absolutely shit himself with glee to face off with the Bernie, or I'm sorry, with Biden on stage. Biden will fall apart. I mean, literally, his teeth fell out of his head.
Yeah, and it's very similar to Hillary Clinton. Like, she was actually a terrible candidate. Part of the reason why Donald Trump won that election is he campaigned his ass off, and she did not. It's just simple math. So to suggest somehow Donald Trump is secretly so afraid of Joe Biden that this is literally the same story. He was so afraid of losing to Hillary Clinton that he struck a deal with the Russians. And he's so afraid of losing to Joe Biden, he's going to strike a deal with Ukraine. Like, come on. You know what the most dangerous thing about this, in my opinion, though, is, Chris? I think I love it. I think what's really terrible about this is the day could come where Donald Trump actually does something terrible. And I just don't believe it. There's this whole story about the little boy who cried wolf and why that's actually a really dangerous thing to do. Well, how many times are you going to cry wolf about Donald Trump and then you actually get him on something and guys like you and I just go, yeah, nope, sorry, don't believe it. You guys lied about everything else. I'm not even looking this one up. It's not even worth my time. Or let's just say a future president actually does collude with a foreign power in a way that is untoward. Will I even believe that? Even if it's a Democrat that I don't like, after I've heard this so many times, oh, the president did this, president did that. Oh, it's so terrible. It's so terrible. Am I ever going to be able to believe? I would say for at least the next decade, whatever rolls down the pipe about the president did this, the president did that, I'm just going, nah, screw you. That didn't happen. Even when it's no longer Donald Trump. Like they've really blown their whole wad here. Oh, CNN. It hurts my
You
eyes.
know what? We've been on the air for over 20 minutes now. Here's an article for CNN, and I'm done. I'm done. Um, we're,
Nope, we're good.
all right.
We're good.
Y'all be
Little boy
safe
who
out
cried
there.
Donald.
Go to work.